Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'm George Conley with Scratch Golf Tips. Today we are looking at the golf swing of Min Woo Lee, and he's recently received special temporary membership to the PGA Tour. We've seen him in some majors, saw him have a very solid week at the Players, come in top 10 there. I think this is a young kid with a lot of potential and an excellent golf swing, not only to look at, but to learn from. So in looking at Min Woo Lee's swing, it's always important to look at the posture at address, and this is a pretty ideal posture to copy, in my opinion. Stands pretty straight at the ball. The hips are right over the ankles, and that really just puts him in a solid position. Over the ball, he doesn't have an overly wide stance. That might be a little bit on the narrow side in terms of how far his feet are apart, but it certainly allows him to be put in the proper positions that he needs to be in order to put a good swing on the ball. In the takeaway, you'll see the club face come across almost perfectly neutral as he's taking it back. It might be a little bit open at times depending on the shot shape that he's trying to hit. But in terms of tempo with Min Woo Lee, it's a fairly standard tempo. If anything, I'd say it's a little bit slower in tempo. I know that a lot of the guys who come out of Australia are just generally have a slower swing speed. Mark Leishman, Cameron Smith kind of has a slightly more methodical takeaway. Adam Scott has always been pretty deliberate in his takeaway as well. And Min Woo fits that bill pretty nicely. It's just a very solid tempo. You can never go wrong with it. In terms of his orientation across the ball, he does come out with his hands a little bit outside of where they will come in. So this is not a one plane golf swing. In my view, he does come a little bit more outside. He has a pretty wide takeaway, and that allows him to shallow out through the ball and hit the draw ball flight with ease. And then he can make some simple tweaks like opening up the club face and maybe having a little bit of a weaker grip in order to ensure the fade ball flight. One thing that I think is excellent about Min Woo Lee's golf swing is his move at the top of the backswing. It's nearly perfect. One thing that he does do incredibly well is he has that perfectly straight left arm for most of his swings, especially when he's hitting irons and wedges and trying to control the trajectory. Having that arm perfectly straight, again, I always reiterate this, it's not a necessity in the golf swing. There are a lot of guys who have success without it. Victor Hovland, if you look at his swing, he does have some flexion in that front arm. You need to be strong, you need to be flexible in order to have that arm entirely straight. But if you are in a position where you're comfortable with that for a right-handed golfer, that left arm being straight, then it can really help create a consistent low point control. If that left arm is straight and there's no bend in it, the distance that your golf club is away from your body is going to remain constant. If there's flexion, that flexion will not remain consistent, nor will the distance the club face is away from your body. So just having that straight leading arm can really add some consistency to your ball striking. Now, in all of these videos that you're seeing on the screen, some of them are full swings, a lot of them are abbreviated swings. So on a lot of those iron swings, Lee does not change his swing tempo. He does not change anything about his move through transition. He just shortens up the swing. So whilst with the driver, he's going to really take that club very high and very far back, when he's hitting wedges or irons and taking a little bit off, he'll just come up to just above shoulder height instead of coming all the way around and having a lot of that upper body rotation. Speaking to Min Woo Lee's trajectory control, he is one of the most entertaining golfers, in my opinion, to watch in terms of how he can control trajectory. He loves to turn to the stinger. He always has a driving iron in the bag. And it's easy to see why. He uses that left side to cover the ball. So when he wants to hit the ball low, which you need to do for a number of reasons, to get out from trouble, you have trees overhead, if there's a lot of wind, if there's a tight fairway, you need to get a ball in place, the way to go is by putting that ball down low, hitting a little knockdown shot, hitting a little stinger shot. And Min Woo Lee can do that really effectively by exaggerating the weight transference onto his front foot and covering the ball. In my mind, you always feel like you're covering the ball with the right hand in the golf swing. So having that right hand close the club face, de-loft the club face, have some forward shaft lean, as well as having the right shoulder, again, this is for a right-handed golfer, having that right shoulder come into the ball, come a little bit steep over the ball. That's why a lot of people who hit these low stingers, they hit fades because you're almost coming across the ball. If you're trying to hit that low ball flight, getting a little bit steep, having that club face slightly shut down, a little bit de-lofted, have the hands forward, that's a great way that Min Woo Lee emulates the feelings of getting that ball low, and he's always been very successful with it. If you watch him play 18 holes, you're going to see that shot a few times, not only off the tee, but with wedges. If he wants to hit a knockdown shot, the same principles apply. Obviously, you don't want to hit a stinger with your wedge, you just want to hit a little knockdown. But Min Woo Lee's move through transition as well. He has a great shallowing move. It's a very popular move that people kind of use the hips to start the swing and then the legs clear out the swing through impact. So the first thing that moves for Min Woo are those hips. And then at impact, the legs are what's generating that power by pushing up on the ground. And most of these I talk about leveraging the ground, but it's a great way for anyone to gain a little bit of power, clear out those hips, get the weight on that front leg, and then push up that front leg to continue the rotation through the golf ball. It's textbook stuff from Min Woo. Min Woo is also very balanced because of that slow tempo and just the nature of his move through transition. There's nothing too jerky, nothing too fast. He can always hold that follow through. And I know that it sounds cliche at this point, but being able to hold that follow through is a mark of a balanced and consistent swing. The more balanced you are, the more consistent your mechanics, the more consistent the ball flight, the ball striking is going to be. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the golf swing of Min Woo Lee. I think this is a young star in the making. He has a lot of potential. If he can really dial it in around the greens and put some nice weeks together, I'm sure we'll see him at the top of leaderboards in just about no time. As always, thank you very much for watching. Play well and take care.